There is a new realization or awakening in Africa for us to be able to communicate to one another and to engage meaningfully in terms of investment and trade and other areas of activities. So for me, it's actually, I think, a conscious effort on the part of Africans to look inwards and to be able to engage in activities that we move the continent forward.
So a vital part of the conversations that we have seen so far is talking about building public-private sector collaborations as a way of fast-tracking trade and investment into the continent.
There are certain activities in Africa or within the government that really take into consideration the budgetary, the budgets that most African countries are running on. It is impossible for them to take on these activities, and so we are looking for opportunities from the private sector to work together so that we can actually tackle some of these. And it's an opportunity to structure these relationships in such a way that it pays off. It's a win-win. It should be a win-win situation, both for the private sector and for the government.
The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is also one of the issues on the front burner. I'd like to know your thoughts on that document at this time.
I've already signed on behalf of the Republic of Sierra Leone because I believe that we have a huge market in Africa, 1.2 billion people. That's a huge market, and we should be able to engage in trade within Africa, and it should move on. It should move or add sort of momentum to our development process. So we are actively working towards creating an environment in which Africans will look at other African nations as markets, and we should do all that is necessary to open up the markets and make it easier for other African countries to invest in African countries, actually.
For you, what are the potential issues that the document, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, are able to address as regards cross-border relations and collaborations across the continent?
Well, free movement of not only the goods that are the targets of trade, but also the people who've had challenges, even in West Africa, within the ECOWAS framework, to be able to allow the free movement of goods and also people. But we've gone a long way, and if you're talking about trade, then we should be able to remove all the blockages and the bureaucracy, the red tape that creates problems or challenges for those who are going to be involved in trade, mostly the private sector. We also have the regulatory framework and also the legal framework within our countries to make it easy for private sector to go in and out of different countries, making sure that they abide by the rules of the game of each country, but are also able to make profit on or returns on their investment.
Mr. President, speak to us of some of the investment trends in your country. What areas are investors looking to?
Well, for Australia, most of the people are interested in, or most groups who go into Australia are interested in mining sector, the extractive. But we have come as a new government, we have said that the human capital is our most important resource. So we are definitely trying to get people and groups that are interested in doing business in Australia to also look at how they can invest in the human capital. We don't want to be victims at the end of the day by just being exploiting the natural resources of the country. We want to see how we can improve on the human capital. But having said that, we are directing most of the investment proposals towards fisheries, which is one of the areas we've said we want to diversify. It should be a point of diversification. We are looking at agriculture to make sure that we have enough food and to be able to export. We are also looking at the health sector. We are still struggling with that. human capital development being the main object of our government, we are looking at agriculture, health, and education.
Tell us of some policies you may have formulated in this area.
Well, already a lot of people thought it was going to be impossible for us to keep our pledge in terms of free education, free quality education to our people, because taking into consideration the fact that we took over a government, a treasury that was almost bankrupt.
Yes, the economic base of the country.
Correct. Was almost bankrupt. We had to start or launch the free quality education to meet the following academic year. A lot of people thought it was going to be impossible, but we were able to launch, and that one is going on fine. Of course, there are teething problems here and there, but we are taking care of those. And we hope that in 3 years, we have a full free quality education program, which is one of those things we want to do, and different components of it in terms of not only paying for tuition, but also making sure that the kids that go to school are fed, proper nutrition, balanced nutrition is given to the kids. We take care of their school, basic, some of the core textbooks.
Is this solely funded by the government, or are you getting support from private investors who may also be interested in working with the government to improve human capacity development in the country?
Well, we wanted to take control of the program. It's a national program. We have initiated it, but definitely going forward, we are going to need support, and we have started getting that support from. One is, I will point out, is the WFP, the World Food Program. They are supporting with the school feeding. The American government has already given $25 million, which we are using in 2 districts.
Is it a loan facility that will be repaid, or is it a grant in support?
No, that one is a grant, and so is the WFP too, because it's part of their mandate. So. But we have started without the support, but we are going to need support going forward, and we believe that it's a genuine case for us to be able to get that support.
Mr. President, on a final note, I'd like you to bring us up to speed on your counter-Ebola efforts.
Well, Ebola, as you know, took us by surprise, and it took a toll on the population and even the medical staff who are supposed to contain it. What we have done is, the lessons learned is actually, we have structured a healthcare system that should be able to contain any situation of that nature, again arising, and we continue to be on the alert to be able to first detect, and we have kept all the lessons learned at the forefront of our activities, so that we will never have a situation like that again take us by surprise and kill so many Sierra Leoneans at a go.